Good morning. I am here at my house um, posting a video for the Teal Center. This wasn't scheduled, so I'll be surprised if anyone joins me, but I wanted to talk this morning about craniosacral therapy, which is something that I practice at the Teal Center, and how you can tune into your own craniosacral rhythm to support and rebalance your system. So craniosacral therapy originated sort of came out of osteopathic medicine when osteopaths discovered that our entire structure, our body, moves in relationship to what we call the fluid tide. So they found that all of the bones of the body, um, all of the cranial bones, the leg bones, the arm bones, the hip bones, all move with the rhythm of the spinal fluid that is contained within the dural membrane. So your brain and your spinal cord are floating in this fluid inside a sac, a membranous sac called the dural membrane. And that cerebral spinal fluid is it's like it breathes. There's nothing pumping it like the blood is pumped by the heart or the air is pumped by the lungs, but it moves in a tidal rhythm. And as the fluid gathers more in the cranial field, the whole body widens and shortens slightly. And as that fluid moves down towards the sacral field in the hips, the whole body sort of lengthens and narrows slightly. And it's a very subtle rhythm, but it's one that can be palpably felt in the body. And when we tune into the rhythm of the fluid, we can expect a certain natural movement in the bones and the ligaments, the tissue. And when we don't feel that natural movement, there could be some sort of strain pattern in the system. So, for example, if I tune into my shoulders and I tune into that rhythm, I might experience one shoulder moving out with the natural rhythm, and the other one, while it would naturally move out, isn't actually moving out. Maybe it's sort of compressing forward and in, or there's something stuck in the shoulder. So this is how we tune in to strain patterns in the tissue of the body. Um, and there's also, the component of craniosacral work, which is sort of the mystery and the beauty of the work, which is the question, what is it that moves the cerebral spinal fluid in our system? Because we can feel that it's moving. We can feel the cranial bones shifting and expanding as that fluid moves up into the cranial field, and then narrowing and lengthening slightly when that fluid moves down towards the sacral field. But what is causing that movement? And how we refer to it in craniosacral therapy is the breath of life. So it's the breath of life that moves through all of us, and how it interacts with our own being and our own physical body is how it manifests in the fluids of our body, and how the fluids then affect the other tissues of our body. So I was going to walk us through how to tune into that for yourself. And if you get it this first time or not, I did not get it the first time I tried this, so don't be discouraged um, if you're not feel like you're tuning into the rhythm. There's a certain element of just trusting that whatever you feel, however it arises in your system, is exactly what you need to feel in this moment. So a great deal of just relaxation and trust in the unfolding of your own awareness within your system. So I encourage you to you can, I think sitting is better, but you can lie down if you'd like. And I would encourage you to have your hands somewhere on your hips or your thighs, because you can feel the movement in your thighs pretty well. And don't cross your legs, like have your legs straight out in front of you, or if you're sitting in a chair, just don't cross them so that you can put your hands on your thighs or your knees. And I invite you to close your eyes and just follow the direction of my voice for the next few minutes. What we're going to do together is we're going to create the 3 anchors that we create for ourselves as practitioners when we do a session of craniosacral therapy. And those 3 anchors are: we're going to ground, we're going to center, and we're going to find our neutral. So with your eyes closed, first just take a few deep breaths. And the deep breaths is really to help your nervous system just begin to settle, and allowing your awareness to start to go within. And closing the eyes, if you feel comfortable with that, helps to bring the awareness within your own system. Allowing your awareness to follow your breath as you take another deep breath. And relaxing and releasing with the exhale, letting everything grow soft and a little bit more spacious as your body sinks into a more relaxed state. And to create the first anchor, we're going to ground our root, so to speak, into the earth. And we're going to do that by perhaps imagining your spinal cord coming down the length of your back and towards the sacrum. We're going to let that be our root, and we're going to allow that root to continue to grow down energetically through our body, out, down through the floor of whatever space you're in, and into the earth itself. We're going to allow our own root to anchor itself into the bedrock through those layers of sand and rock and clay, to really anchor itself into the earth. Allowing your body to settle a little bit more deeply onto the surface in which you're sitting or lying down, and allowing that connection with the chair or the surface you're on, the floor. Allow that surface to be a metaphor for the earth. So while your root is anchoring deeply into the earth, you're feeling that connection. Good. Now you just trust that that connection remains without any effort or focus. We just set the intention for that anchor of the ground to stay secure and stable. And then we're going to center ourselves by imagining perhaps a string extending from the back of your head. So we're going to tie a little string to the backs of our heads, like tape it on there or whatever you want. And then the other end of the string is going to tie down to the ground some 6 feet behind you. And this keeps our orientation centered and spacious, because we're not going to dive deep into inspecting and inquiry into what's happening. We're going to keep this slight spacious detachment to our experience. And this helps us stay in the observer mind, that meditative quality of observing our experience without judgment, without attachment, but with just loving presence and compassion. So that string that we have tied from the back of our head to that spot on the ground, 6 to 8 feet behind us, literally makes us feel like our head is coming back slightly, giving us a little bit more space to be the observer. And then the third anchor we're going to create is our neutral anchor in our own body. And to create this anchor, we just do a little scan of our body from the head down. And what you're looking for is that place within yourself that feels quiet and peaceful, where when your awareness rests in that place, you feel a sense of spaciousness and calm. And this could be in your right shoulder, this could be in your heart, this could be in your belly. I mean, it could be anywhere in your body. It could be in your left big toe. It doesn't matter where your anchor is here. What matters is that when your awareness rests there, that you get this sense of ease and spaciousness. So now we're grounded to the earth. We're anchored 6 feet behind us to keep the observer mind, the spacious mind. And we found our neutral center somewhere in our body that brings us a sense of spaciousness and calm. And then we trust that those three anchors remain while we bring our awareness now to our hands. And your hands can be resting on your hips or your thighs. And you're just listening with your hands. You're just keeping a very spacious field of awareness, holding your whole system in your eye, in your mind, from the bottoms of your feet to the top of your head. And you're feeling your system with your hands. And as the breath of life moves through you, you're going to feel perhaps a slight turning inward of the thighs or a narrowing of the hips as the spinal fluid moves down into the sacrum. And it takes about 10 to 12 seconds in each direction. And then you might feel a slight turning outward or external rotation or a slight widening as that fluid begins to move towards the cranial field. And you just feel this ever so subtly in the thighs or the hips. And then again, that internal rotation or narrowing as the fluid moves down. And then a slight widening and expansion as the fluid begins to move back up. And that's about how fast the craniosacral rhythm is at the middle tide. And there are different tidal lengths in craniosacral therapy, but right now we're just tuning in to the mid tide, this 10 to 12 second tide that moves in each direction, narrowing and lengthening the body, and then widening, expanding, Just tuning into this rhythm within your system, or this orientation to the breath of life in your system, helps your body to reorient physically and energetically to its perfect state of radiant health. You can allow the shoulders to release as you're feeling this, the neck, the jaw, everything can relax as you're just tuning in gently and spaciously to the narrowing and lengthening, and then the expansion, widening out. So coming back to your midline, come back to your spine, come back to the room that you're in, and when you're ready, open your eyes. So that was a very short demo. I encourage you, if you weren't able to tune in that amount of time, maybe try listening to this again later when you have maybe a better chance to go quiet, maybe before bed, um, and see if you can sink into it a little bit more. I'm happy to take any questions. If anyone's interested, you can send us a message to the Teal Center page, and I will respond. And um, thank you. I just if you're one of our lovely clients at the Teal Center, just know that we miss you. We're thinking of you. We do have some virtual distance offerings available. I just did a virtual craniosacral session that was amazing, and very healing for me to connect with my client, and likewise for her. So consider that over the next few weeks while we're still practicing the social distancing. And just know that our hearts are there to support you, that we love you, and we look forward to having you back in the Teal Center as soon as possible. All right. Have a great Monday, everybody.